What's up everybody? I'm gonna say right at the start of this video that the Speediance Gym Monster is one of the best pieces of equipment I've ever used. Not just in the home gym, but I'd say even going to the gym, actual gym equipment, because I've loosely dabbled in some e-gyms or smart gym products, but using this really has me convinced this is the future of fitness and that machines will be inevitably ruling the world very soon. But until that happens, I'm all for using a smart fitness machine that provides unparalleled versatility, is extremely efficient, overall will make your fitness journey all the more productive. Aside from that, the other reason I wanted to check out this specific model is because compared to, let's say, a more expensive functional trainer, which I'll compare to that a lot throughout this video, this thing has a very low cost of entry and a relatively low footprint, which makes it much easier to say move around and store throughout your house or your gym compared to a big bulky functional trainer. I've certainly known about the Speediance Gym Monster for a very long time, and many of you guys have been asking me to do a review about this product, but I've honestly been waiting to kind of see some of the reviews coming in for this specific product, but also kind of seeing how the overall market is shaping out with e-gyms in general. So I only caved to review this product in a non-sponsored video when it really became apparent to me that this, based on the cost, the features, its solid reputation at this point in time, that this is, from what I'm seeing, is the best smart gym for the money. So in this video, I'm gonna give you guys my honest first impressions, although I've had this thing for a few weeks now. I'm just trying to hide it out of view so you guys couldn't see it. But I'll discuss its main features, discuss how the various exercises feel, go over some of the potential cons and areas of improvement, and then finally describe who I think would overall benefit from using something like this. Now, this is not a sponsored video. Speediance did offer me a unique promo code to help support me and the channel. Also a link down below. So it really helps support me and the channel. If you do at any point in time, consider picking up a Speediance Gym Monster. Now, getting into the unboxing, the Gym Monster is a literal monster when it gets delivered. It came delivered in a giant pallet with a truck, so you knew it was pretty serious. I had to think long and hard on where I was gonna store this thing. For right now, it's the garage, but I think likely it's gonna end up in my basement. Big as it was though, this thing was probably one of the easiest unboxings I've ever done. It comes fully assembled. The delivery guy dropped it off right in front of my garage right here. I essentially had to kind of teeter it, and since it's kind of more bottom heavy, I just propped it open. Once I opened up the box, it came out really easily, you know, more or less with all the less foam and packaging materials, but it was basically ready to go. But the attachments that came with this current version I got were a pair of handles, ankle straps, excellent quality tricep rope, a mat. Comes with a very cool and versatile barbell. You could say it's a little bit more on the thinner side for diameter, but I don't really mind that. What's really important about this are all the different features and lengths, so you can really fine tune not just how far the cable is, but just kind of that direction of force for various exercises. So this was really useful. Had some foam padding for the barbell. Now they have their own unique clipping system, but which is nice is they give you guys a bunch of extra ones of these, so you guys can attach any off-brand attachments you guys might have, some carabiners. I also got their weight bench, which surprisingly looks, feels, and performs above my expectations, especially when I compare it to like my $100 price point benches that I own. This thing is not perfect what I'm sitting on, doesn't have a decline feature. It's fairly minimal what it can do, but honestly, you're kind of working with the confines of what this thing's really designed for, because some of the legs are meant to fit on this platform. So it's kind of a love-hate with this bench, honestly, but it's not bad as far as how it overall looks and its build quality. But probably the most important and essential piece of attachments that you guys get is this Bluetooth controller ring. It just goes on your index finger, and if it's not too obvious what this does, it allows you to turn the weight on and off with the push of a button. You can go one tap, you can set it for 2 taps, or you can kind of do like a hold. It also rotates, so you can adjust weight on the fly when you're sitting here. Very important, really cool, unique feature. There's some potential downsides. I would definitely recommend doing the double tap, because there's been times when I had the single tap, I would like hit it and then the weight would kind of slowly turn on, so you don't necessarily want to have that happen. But very ingenious as far as grabbing and setting up into positions and turning things on and off. What was going through my mind in the first day I was messing around with this was that this thing should really be costing more. Now, I could easily burn 30 minutes talking about the responsiveness of the display and build quality of the machine, but I'll just summarize this and say that the display screen performs exactly how you'd expect. The follow-along workouts are plentiful, well filtered. They have a full exercise library, and most importantly, the adjustments of weights and using the ring is incredibly responsive. I'm not even really a big follow-along workout guy, but even I, when I was going through the individual workouts and watching them, I kind of get hypnotized in just how easy the workouts were and how fun it was just following along with a trainer telling me the weights and the exercises to do. So I think that's really a cool and useful feature. And at this point in time, it seems like at least the specials they're running that if you do buy a Speediance Gym Monster, you're kind of locked in for life on this membership. And aside from that, it's very individualized and personalized. You can do things like a strength assessment. It tells you guys where you are in like your data collection throughout like the weeks and months, tells you how much total workout volume, tons of metrics, tons of data if you're really into that stuff. Now, before I do get into exercises, I do just want to highlight some of the features the Speediance Gym Monster has compared to say a functional trainer or like a cable crossover machine. Because on these e-gyms, what's cool and unique about them is you can do the standard set resistance, like traditional resistance, giving you constant tension up on the way down. You can do eccentric only tension. You can do what they call chain tension, which is more so really variable resistance that feels a lot like the tension of a resistance band. So the further you kind of pull, the more resistance it gives. And then they have something called constant tension. It really just kind of gives you this constant, gradual, easy tension, more so for like rehabilitation type exercises. I would say it's the feature I really use the less. It can go up to 220 pounds for resistance, which I think is plenty for most people. Even for myself, even though I can handle more, I just feel like this thing, the weight just feels heavier. When I do like say 135 bench on here versus compared to like what 135 feels like a barbell and some plates, definitely feels harder. And this thing utilizes something called magnetic flywheel resistance. Some people call this weight like digital weight. It's hard to really express what magnetic flywheel tension really feels like. It is super smooth. It definitely feels kind of like cable tension. It's not nearly as responsive. That's a potential con about using these machines. But I will say it is smooth, it's direct. The only downside is I would say is to kind of find your groove with the machine because it's not as responsive. So if you go too fast, too slow, some of the safety mechanisms might kick in. But overall, I thought it was pretty much responded how you would like it. It's just a unique type of tension. Given that your health and safety is at the mercy of this machine here, that's a little kind of scary in some sense. You do have this ring to help protect you, turn things on and off, but I will say the safety features are definitely there. I noticed that if you go, it seems to be too fast with like heavier loads, or if you get stuck in a certain position, it'll kind of let up a little bit. But that is kind of alarming when you got this weight on, you press the button, and then it kind of, you feel this compression just coming down. It's something you're not used to when you versus anticipating the weight, taking it off a rack. So that's a little scary, but I will say there's been no safety concerns whatsoever so far, and they do have a lot of safety measures in place according to what they told me. As far as exercises go, you're seeing me perform some of my favorite go-to exercises that I'd usually be using, say on like a functional trainer or a cable crossover. But pretty much I'd say anything you've seen performed or you've done yourself, say in a gym with a barbell, dumbbell, or cable machine, they can pretty much more or less be replicated on a Speediance Gym Monster. So naturally, when I first started using this, I wanted to go back and test my traditional like favorite cable machine exercises that you guys are seeing here, which was refreshing to do because I haven't been able to do that in some time. But aside from that, I started to set up and discover new exercises that otherwise would never have attempted on a traditional cable machine. But since you have this ring, you can say grab the weight behind you or grab this barbell and set up into position and then double tap the ring, the weight comes on. You can do some force reps, even kind of going to pretty much to failure, especially with that like spotter mode, which I don't think I mentioned. Spotter mode kind of kicks in with two different features. If you start going slower, spotter mode will allow you to kind of go up a little bit less weight, or if the bar just essentially stops moving, the spotter mode will kick in and it will assist you kind of out of that repetition range. The other unique and in my opinion very cool thing that sets a Speediance apart from say a traditional cable machine or functional trainer is that you can maximize cable-like tension coming straight from the crown in this vertical fashion versus in a functional trainer, even in that low pulling setting, you're always kind of fighting this like diagonal kind of pull. So it is unique to kind of neat to do things like a squat where that weight is coming straight down with the cable, or just doing things like bicep curls. You guys have been noticing that I've been doing some stuff off the machine. The unit itself is fairly stable to do things off the platform. I just wouldn't get too comfortable with that. I tried some things and not thinking about just the mechanics and physics of things, doing like step ups onto a bench where started seeing this thing tilt and I'm like, okay, that's definitely stupid. So you gotta kind of pick and choose your battles, or I would rig different weight settings because depending on this bench, the way it's kind of designed, it might kind of pull you back and the bench actually wants to move. So I would weight this down with some weights. And so there's ways to kind of rig it, but the point is you are kind of a slave to the confines of this machine setup. Now I can already hear most of you guys on this review saying I'm just giving this thing lip service. I'm saying all positive things. There are definitely potential cons, and at the final wrap up, I'll talk about maybe who this machine may or may not be designed for. But like anything, there's always gonna be pros and cons. But the things I might consider cons that might not be that important to you. So there are some things you might have noticed in this video that I didn't go in full detail with, specifically like the workout programs and exercise library or just stuff that's on this screen here. This is very in-depth, it is very responsive, that stuff is really cool. But if you're someone who wants a lot of details, like how the workouts feel and progressions on that, honestly, I didn't mess around with that too much. I was more so going with like the free lift mode. So a lot of the cons are more specific to the things that I really find are concerning. First and foremost for me would be safety. I'm not saying I felt unsafe in this thing or there was any kind of like huge scare or that this thing doesn't have safety protocols designed in the machine, but it is kind of scary. I don't care what machine or e-gym you gave me when I'm thinking about heavy weight being turned on and turned off, especially with something as simplistic as a ring. You're thinking in your head, like, could this malfunction? What if this thing like goes on or goes off? Or if I hit the wrong button at the wrong time? I would like to have at least some sort of like physical safety bars or something there to kind of catch the bar in case it were to fall. This is a minor con, but maybe something important to some of you. If you are looking to replicate that exact feeling of a free motion or cable machine, this does all the main things you want to do functionally and practically for exercises, but the tension is kind of unique. It is very fluid, like I've been saying. I do really like it. I would say I prefer it to most cable machines. The downside, again, is if you just want to be super responsive and just kind of like jumping right into, let's say, some sort of power-based exercise with like a cable machine. Not to say you can't go fast. The point is it's not as responsive, and I don't think any of these machines will be compared to like just raw physical weight. This may not be in everyone's list, but I'd love to see if you could cast like other apps or media on their screen. I'm not saying I need Netflix on here, but practically maybe for like yours truly, if you wants to make like a follow along workout using Speediance, it would be cool to say like cast YouTube on here so you could do some other, say, off-brand workouts. Or probably more practically, the thing I really wanted was being able to like stream my music on their decent speaker system. I can't see why they couldn't do something like that. That seems like if they were able to allow you to like cast music and media to their screen, I think that would be awesome. And I think that many people would probably enjoy that. The dimensions of the platform were a little bit of an issue. I actually never thought I would love this little vertical slant there to post up my leg as much. That's actually a pro, but I didn't talk about it too much. That actually is a really nice feature to kind of brace yourself. But the platform itself might be a little small, especially for some people, maybe with like a wider base or as a bigger person. But I just found sometimes a little bit too kind of compact. The one inevitable downside that is very concerning with an e-gym, especially if you're putting in a lot of money into it, is the overall longevity of these types of machines. So with any smart gym, my main concern is how long will they basically last? This thing has a 2-year warranty on the machine for the actual machine itself, and then 1 year for the accessories. But on their FAQ, the machine says it can last up to 10,000 hours or 13 years of 2 hours a day use, which personally, if the machine like this does and can perform that long with no like maintenance and no replacing like parts and stuff like that, like cables, I can certainly live with that, because I'm sure at that point in time, 13 years on the line, we're gonna have like Speediance 5.0 that'll be drone shipped and like setting up itself, and we'll be plugging yourself into the workout matrix. So I can live with that if it holds up to those numbers. That's actually very cool. Now, with all that being said, here are some of my final thoughts and who I'd recommend a machine like this to. For the price point, I know it's still fairly expensive. It is hard to beat this price point, especially when you compare it to other e-gyms or smart gyms in the market, like a Tonal or anything else that's out there. It has such a good reputation. It's doing everything you possibly need out of a smart gym. It's very convenient as far as how easy it can kind of fold out and opens up. Everything at this point is all free. Everything you possibly want as far as resistance settings and workouts and features are all there. The practical thing for me personally, or someone else in the ballpark, say for like a functional trainer or cable machine, I really don't care too much about the follow along workouts or the workout library and stuff like that, or even like the data collection that's in this thing. I just want to be able to like take advantage of basically free motion features with the technology of resistance, also the fact that it's compact and very easy to move around. So versus if I buy a functional trainer, yes, it'll last me a lot longer, but it's much bigger, can be much more expensive. If I were to move or say change locations where I want to move this thing, that's a big negative. Versatile, it's compact. For the price, it's pretty good too. Compared to a functional trainer, that's a big plus for me. But with that being said, this thing is for sure gonna be ideal for people that like follow along workouts. There's a huge library on here already. It's definitely geared towards a good masculine and feminine audience, towards types of styles and workouts. I think the way they kind of segment the workouts, how they organize it, I think is pretty good and on point. I also see that they're updating this library continuously. So if you like something like this with follow along workouts, it would be great if you kind of could stream YouTube again on there. That'd be great for some other options. But I think all that stuff's there. And at this point, with the membership cost being essentially nothing, you can't really beat that. The digital weight versus physical weight is definitely something that's different and unique to kind of get used to. I think it's not really that big a deal, but if you're looking for something that kind of lets you do whatever you want, there's no worry about the thing breaking or breaking down or like some weird thing happening, like, you know, electricity even, that's actually a key thing. Like somehow you lose power and you can't work out for the day. Those are all practical reasons why you want a functional trainer. And if you have the space and you have the money, functional trainer makes also a lot of sense. But for the basic, you know, common man, which is who I kind of more or less preach to, who has a low footprint, not looking to spend a whole lot of money, also wants the versatility of putting like a cable machine in their home for a relatively low footprint, you really can't go wrong with something like this. I don't know of any other alternative, and there's other smart gyms like this, but this one just seems to do everything so well. So those are my thoughts and opinions on it, guys. Please feel free to let me know down below in the description box. Again though, guys, if you want to save some money, pick one of these things up, I will put a link here on the screen, the promo code, as well as the link down below in the description box. Help support me in the channel. If you ever do at some point in time, consider picking one of these things up. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.